And the more I'm riding this big trail, the more I'm just super impressed by A, how well it gets the job done, but also how much fun I'm having doing it. My name's Guy Kestevan. I've been a professional bike and kit tester for over 27 years. And this is MERIDA'S brand new Big Trail 600. A seriously practical daily driver that's also a radical enduro raver. So, MERIDA Big Trail. And she is, in terms of geometry, a big girl with big capabilities, because she has had a lot of work done since the 21 model. And that was a really popular kind of interesting collab between UK dealers and MERIDA to come up with a properly radical 29er trail hardtail. But they've gone even further with this new model, the most significant of which is a 1.5 degree slacker head angle. So it was 65.5, now it's a full 64 degree DH front end on this bike. Plus, they've even dropped the BB, which is already, again, pretty low, but now 70mm BB drop on this bike, and that's proper radical. I can remember when the Squatch went to 80 and everyone thought that was insane, and that's like a one-off freak bike. This is a production machine that's as slammed as that. A righteous stability. Seat angle comes up a degree, 76.5, so it's not as super radical as their FS bikes, which are now in the 78, 79, even 80 degree mold, but it's a lot more further forward on the climb than their average trail hardtail. Plus, for a bike with full enduro strength rating, ASTM 4 on all the components and the frame, it's relatively light at 14.5 kilos, especially considering such a long frame. It actually feels nice and lively through the pedals. I was a bit worried that extra length would really make it feel kind of cumbersome, but so far he does remind you you're on a hardtail when you clip the little lip halfway into the landing though. So I'm glad it's an Exo Plus rear tyre. I'm glad that John from MERIDA has turned it tubeless as well, because it comes standard with tubes. Oh, way up. Oh, just as I put my seat up, Ryan does the techie contour piece on me. Oh, I've just got to get used. Apologies, I've not ridden a hardtail in a while. I've just got to get used to the fact that all that pitch and geometry change is on the front of the bike, so it feels more extreme than it would on the full sus bike. But I have to say, position is really nicely centralised. Oh, and I'm going to lose out to 140mm of full sus down here for sure. Because basically, you know, let's be real here, I'm not smooth and subtle enough rider. Oh, woo-hoo-hoo. Yep, that was a save. To compensate when that rear wheel gets kicked like that. sideways on the roots. Whew. Yeah, that raised my heart rate. But thank the Lord for such a long, slack front end in that situation, because it's been shorter and steeper. That would have been an early end to this video. So big thanks to Big Trail in that moment, for sure. And to be fair, it's not doing too badly at all. Keeping up with that spectral through all this rooty, lumpy jank. Come on, Jay, let's have him. Loam, loam, loam. Woo. Thought Ryan would have gassed me to flat there on that one, but yeah, it's good. And even this basic pike, acquitting itself well down there. Ha! Nice one, Merida. Saved my bacon for sure. And obviously, you have to work a bit harder for your traction on a hardtail. So it hasn't got that compliance, but that 76.5 degree seat and that long front end helping me get up that little nadgery section that's been a bit of a pig recently. But you do have to definitely roll with the punches more. So this is a strong and stiff frame, like I say, fully ASTM4 enduro proofed. So inevitably it's pretty firm. Max tyre space on the back, it's 2.4 rather than 2.6 on some bikes in this category. So there's more lumps and kickback through that dissector, running at 22 psi. But again, that stable front end helping you keep it online, even when the back end's playing keepy ups with your arse. Whew. So yeah, more of a workout, but in terms of where it's sitting on the trail, very impressive so far. And the good news is well, the back end's a bit lumpy. That pike fork up front, even though it's just the basic one with motion control damping. That's the older model, so hasn't got the changed bigger negative spring, but still a nice smooth unit for rolling up and over rooty sections like this and just keeping the momentum going. And of course, when it comes to sudden steep climbs, there's no need to worry about shock pressures or lockout levers. You're already in full direct drive mode, and the new geometry follows that same agilometer. Hey up, Jay, mind out, mate. Sizing and shaping of their full size bikes as well, so you're getting extra short to extra long rather than extra small to extra large. But because they've dropped the seat tube length as well, that doesn't mean you're automatically strung out on a super long bike. You can go still pretty you know, reasonable on the reach if you want, so medium 455mm. But you get big drop posts as standard now, from 150 on the extra short to 230 on the extra long. And they've equipped the bike for maximum control as well. Whoa, forgot I was on the hardtail. That's a good sign, right? So you've got that 140mm pike on the front. I mean, it will take a 150, but feels great with this 140 on. But obviously, if you find yourself hitting your feet, you can get the longer fork in there. That's just an air spring rod change. And you got XT brakes, even though the transmission is only Dior. So you've got all the power in those top end 4-pot brakes, but no trauma if you end up smacking the rear mech. And to be honest, the shifting is so good with 12-speed Dior now. You don't really need anything more. Even though this, you know, it's a burly alloy framed hardtail, but even then, you know, it's got these fully hydroformed tubes. They're actually pretty slim on the top tube, and then seat tube stout, which is probably why it feels so stiff when you sat on it. But when you're hovering above the bike, it's actually pretty supple and subtle. Certainly for an alloy bike with, as I keep saying, full enduro strength rating. The more I'm riding it, the more I'm impressed with what it's taken in its stride. Thought I'd be playing catch up with Ryan the full session, but it's been a pretty combative ride. It's a massive credit to this Merida. And one really nice feature is that they fully foam wrapped the internal cabling as well, so it's got that almost kind of full face helmet, quite acoustic vibe going on. And you get an ISCG chain guard mount with a little top guide already installed, and you get a clip-on chainstay protector that not only has little downward fins against shoe rub and chain rub, but also not only is it dual density, it's even got little air pockets in to really quieten down any chain slap. And remember, this is on a 2K hardtail, and you'll get those same features on the cheaper versions of this bike as well. So yet again, whoa, I missed the entry in the bracken. Merida really delivering on the frame quality for a bargain price. And even the bits that look relatively crude, like the big wedge behind the seat tube, is actually a little hollow plate mount for an extra large fender. It's got conventional fender mounts. It's got 2 water bottle cage mounts on the down tube, because they're now using all that big diameter seat tube for dropper post drop. It's even got kickstand mounts and rack mounts, so it's a properly practical little bike, despite having a real hooligan geometry. And then bits like tyre spec, triple compound, Maxix DHF and dissector are spot on, and the Merida rims are laced onto Shimano hubs, so you got a ton of durability there as well. And the Merida finishing kit is really good as well. You got decent dropper lever with a really smooth action, you got wide bars, you got short stem, you've even got nicely shaped ergon style lock-on grips. And of course the big advantage with a hardtail is there's a lot less in terms of bearings and nooks and crannies to clean out when it's still soggy like this in July, and they make a much better choice in winter than a full sus bike. And the more I'm riding this big trail, particularly on the slower speed, steeper stuff, where that percussion from the rear end isn't as obvious, the more I'm just super impressed by A, how well it gets the job done, but also how much fun I'm having doing it. This is an absolute hoot, and all those changes they've made to properly make this bike radical have really paid off. And it's great to see a brand like Merida doing that right through their price range, because the basic big trails are really affordable. You know, this DRXT spec is premium bike in the line. Just watch out for hidden stumps. Oh yeah, and generally just watch out for that lower bottom bracket on stumps and ruts in general, because that stability obviously comes at a price in terms of ground clearance. But in terms of fun, this big trail, definitely big on the laughs on properly progressive terrain. So there you go, Merida's Big Trail 600. Properly rad, super capable, trail enduro hardtail for a really affordable price. Great spec, really good thinking in terms of where they've invested in the extra control on the bike. A super versatile daily driver workhorse frame, but with the kind of radical angles that mean you could go bike parking on this bike, and it's even properly enduro rated. And it's not even that heavy either. I think it's 2100 grams for the frame. So with twin bottle cage mounts on it, plus you've got another little accessory mount on the frame there. You know, it's a bike that will go distance as well. Without the sector on the tyre on the back, it rolls pretty well, you know. It is a proper all-rounder. And the fact that it will ride down anything here, not just comfortably, but properly aggressively. And it's really been full game on here today. You know, thanks to those slim tubes. It's a really, really forgiving bike in terms of how the front end sort of conforms and handles bigger impact. It's only when you get to that massive seat tube and that stouter rear end that things get a bit more brutal. But even then, for an alloy hardtail, you can get away with a lot on this bike. I mean, one drawback is it's only got a 2.4 inch clearance on the back. You know, obviously you could have even more float if you get a 2.6 in there, and it's designed to be run full 29er. They're saying don't really design it to run a mullet, basically because that bottom bracket is already super low. And if you go much lower than that, you are just going to be hammering those pedals into the ground all the time. But otherwise, you know, in terms of the features, like that chain guide, the storage on the bike, all that practical stuff, this is just such a capable bike. And like I say, this is the top end bike at 2K here in the UK. You can actually get on board this frame at much cheaper price points as well, and then upgrade your way into something you know, no holds barred like this bike. But yeah, I mean, I'm always a bit wary when I jump on a hardtail because I don't ride them a lot, and as you'll see, you know, as you saw, I got into a bit of trouble early on, just not quite adjusting to it. But once you have let this bike settle in, and also if you just back off 10%, it kind of gives you about 30% more in terms of smoothness, in terms of the way it flows. If you just let it breathe a little bit, it really rewards a smoother riding style. And even in the short time I've been on it today, I've really, really properly keyed into it and just ridden faster and better and just loved it more and more. And yeah, I'm gonna keep this on deck for a while because I've got some steel hardtail tests coming up, and it'll actually be really interesting to see how those steel hardtails in a similar category actually compare to this aluminium frame. Because, you know, there's all these myths about steel ride quality, but do they really compare? So look out for a video on that subject coming up soon. But for now, massive thanks to Merida for letting me
test this bike. It only got to me like literally yesterday. Jumped on it today for the filming. Embargo is tomorrow. So it's been a very quick turnaround, and there's a lot to talk about on this bike. So hopefully I've got across all the main points. If I haven't, jump in the comments and ask away down there, because I've got direct links to Merida, and they're always super happy to chat about their design decisions and stuff on the bike. Massive thanks to them for supporting this video as well. Huge thanks to my other industry sponsors on the channel, whose names are scrolling up at the end. Massive thanks to my Patreon subscribers who pledge on a monthly basis. They get early, exclusive and ad-free edits as a thank you. So if you really like what I'm doing on the channel, please consider sponsoring me monthly on Patreon. If you can't do that, then subscribe, click for notifications, give this a thumbs up, like, and tell your mates about Guy Cares TV. Because if you've enjoyed an old man rattling through the woods, chatting on about the latest bikes and tech and what he thinks of them, then hopefully your pals will as well. And your recommendation matters more than anything Google can do with their algorithm. But for now, I've been Guy Kestevan on Guy Cares TV, having an absolute blast on the brand new, seriously radical Merida Big Trail 600.